Hey everyone. So I'm live. It's Simone Watson. It's been a super, super long time since I went live. Probably not since I lost my voice. And that's because I lost my voice last March and then it's been coming back, but it's been in and out. And I just didn't want to have it like be live and then have it go out all of a sudden. But I'm risking it. So when I film, I just film, and then if I need to take a break, I just take a break. But I'm gonna risk it right now because there's something I want to talk about. And I know it's kind of late, so I get it if lots of people are not watching, but you know, this is something that happened, what, 24 hours ago or something, ended 24 hours ago? I don't know. So I'm talking about So You Think You Can Dance. We are in season 16, I'm pretty sure, and the top four have been chosen. They were chosen last week, and then this week the top four performed, and then there's voting, and then next week we're going to find out who wins. So basically, the top four are named Sophie, Gino, Mariah, and Bailey. If you have been watching, I probably don't have to tell you that much because if you're watching this, you probably have been watching, or if not, you can definitely go to So You Think You Can Dance's YouTube channel and see more about these dancers because it's very hard for me to just describe them. But basically, Mariah, Gino, and Sophie are considered contemporary dancers, and Bailey is a break dancer. And I was thinking about this recently. And even though Mariah is being called a contemporary dancer, I actually think she's more of a lyrical dancer, which is similar but different. So, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to talk about my impressions on the top four. So I stopped watching this show years ago, and then I started again 2 weeks ago. Basically, I started watching when they were the top eight, and then two of them went home, Benjamin and Anna, I think. Yeah, and then last week, Madison and Ezra went home. And so we were left with two pairs, which were Sophie and Gino and Mariah and Bailey. Since the first time that I saw Sophie and Gino, I was very impressed with their performance. They danced to a song, I think it's called You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen. They danced to this the week before last. I was very, very impressed. They did contemporary. I have only watched that one time, only because the is a really heavy topic. A lot of the contemporaries that have been done recently have been heavy, and I just didn't feel in the right headspace to be back on that one. I don't actually know the topic of that contemporary per se, but I know the topic of that musical, and it's a really heavy topic. So I may watch that again, but I remember really liking that dance. And then I remember really liking their second routine. I forgot what it was. It might have been the tango. And then Mariah and Bailey had two routines, and the one that really stood out to me was when they were on the roof. The song was called Slide by James Bay. That is another one I've only watched once, but I loved it. And that was really when they stood out to me, Mariah and Bailey. That was tied with Sophie and Gino's routine as my favorite of the night that night. And yeah, it was just really amazing. So I love Mariah and Bailey as a pair. And at that time, I noticed that Mariah actually reminds me of an Alvin Ailey dancer, or the Alvin Ailey style of dance. If you've ever seen Alvin Ailey, the Alvin Ailey, I think it's called the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, was founded by this guy named Alvin Ailey. He's Black. He was a pioneer at the time, and it was, I don't know, the 60s when he founded it. I'm not sure, but they do a lot of modern dance, and Mariah's dancing in that piece, Slide, really reminded me of an Alvin Ailey dancer, and I loved it. It was beautiful. And so the two people that went home that week were Benjamin and Anna. I was okay with that. I think I was thinking either Benjamin or maybe Ezra is who I would, I guess, prefer to go home. And so Benjamin did go home. Then last week we had the top six. So we had Ezra, Madison, Sophie, Gino, Mariah, and Bailey. Ezra and Madison did go home. I also was in agreement with this. I felt that the top four that we got really were the strongest four. I didn't actually see the first episode with the top 10 and all that, but generally I really felt like from what I've seen, the top four that we got are the strongest four that we have. Ezra, is a talented dancer, but I felt that sometimes his upper body movements seemed really thrown, which makes sense, like to throw your like arms and stuff if you're like a ballroom dancer, depending on the style. I'm not sure what style he was like specializing in basically, but he just wasn't really my favorite. And then Madison, I feel like she makes beautiful shapes with her body. But I feel like last week the energy and the like kind of pow of her movements was lacking a little bit in the jazz dance that she did. I guess that was her. I'm trying to think, was that her in an all-star? I think that was her in an all-star, but I can't remember who. So sorry, but she did this jazz dance. It had to do with like her like breaking up with her man or something. That was like the scenario. And yeah, basically I feel like she makes beautiful shapes with her body, but I did not feel that she was the strongest in terms of the actual movements and having power behind her movements. So yeah, that was basically so I was happy to get the top four that we did get. As time progressed, I was just liking Mariah and Bailey more and more. I went back and watched some of their routines from before I was watching, and I saw the one to Tempo by Lizzo. They absolutely killed that. I have now watched that like a lot of times, like probably 15 times I've watched that I've just rewound it and rewound it. It was so good. Their energy is awesome. As like some people have pointed out on YouTube, like Mariah and Bailey, they really work off of each other's energy. They do well together. And like I love it. When they're together on stage, like they both shine. And so I was very happy about that. And seeing their past hip hop routine was just amazing. Mariah is extremely versatile and she killed that. Also Bailey is amazing when it comes to hip hop. I mean, yeah. And his facial expressions in Tempo were also really great. So last week, the main thing that I remember them doing is when the two of them danced together. They did, it was a jazz routine, and it was like a very hot kind of like, I don't want to say a weird word here, but it was like kind of like sexy kind of jazz routine to the song. The song was called Need You Tonight, I think. It was really, 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 really good. Okay. Bailey surprised me. I was like, what the heck? What the heck, Bailey? That was hot. What the heck? So that was hot. Also, Mariah, again, did an excellent job. She was so in character. They were both so in character in that kind of like 80s kind of feel that the dance had. It was a very well choreographed dance. Mariah reminded me of like Janet Jackson, but just in the sense of like being a diva and like really owning the music the way that it was, and I just loved it. So that was another routine for like the books. And I came to a realization possibly last week, possibly before last week, but this is my realization. Mariah Russell, okay, she is a legend. She's a legend. Like, hear me out here. I feel like she is the type of dancer that people can look back on years later and be like, wow, like she was one of the best of the generation. I came to this conclusion maybe before last week's episode. I can't really remember, but I was like, she is so talented. Her talent is rare. She's like a rare gem. Okay, I almost forgot. I need to share this to Twitter. Give me 1 second. We're just going to type. No, you know what? I'm not going to share it to Twitter. I'll just share it after I talk because it's hard to do both at the same time. But anyway, I really feel like Mariah is legendary. I'm not saying that lightly. I feel like people can look back 50 years from now and be like that, like think that she was one of the dancers that defined this generation, and it's really incredible and inspiring. to watch. So everything that she has done has pretty much been incredible. I know that some people on YouTube kind of struggled with her all-star routine last week. She performed with Fiction. They did this routine that was like, the song was called We Gonna Win, I think, or We Gonna Win. And it was like a magician themed thing. I felt like they did a pretty good job. My one, I guess, qualm about the choreography, which of course the choreography is not in their control, but my one qualm about the choreography is it felt like they didn't really use the space. There's like this large space, there's a lot of space on the stage, and it felt like the two of them were like close like this whole time. And you kind of wanted to see like them move out that way or something, and like, but you kind of just saw like this this whole time, and it was not my favorite thing ever, but I thought it was pretty good. Bailey did an all-star routine last week too. I don't remember it very well because I was like half paying attention. So yeah, that's how that was. Gino did an all-star routine with Comfort. Some people may be mad at me for this. I don't know. My issue with Gino and Comfort's routine, or my issue with Gino in that routine, is that his technique was very, very good, but he did not seem to be having fun. And it was a fun type of routine. It was, there are definitely different types of hip hop, but that was a fun type of hip hop routine. And he was like so serious, and he was like, I got to get it right. I got to get it right. I got to get it right. And it felt like, okay, like he's trying to win, but like, I need you to have some fun. I need you to loosen up and like have some feelings. So it didn't really land well for me. Technique was great again, but it didn't land as well as it could have if he had, been having some fun, or if I had gotten that impression that he was having fun. And then Sophie did an all-star routine. I forgot the name of her all-star, but they did the Samba. I thought that was excellent. I thought Sophie did a great job in that. Yeah, I felt like her, like the way she kind of carried herself in that, she was confident, and that really worked well for her in the Samba. So I loved it. Did I talk about Sophie and Gino's? I don't think I talked about Sophie and Gino's pair routine. I think their routine last week was like Broadway. Was it Down with Love? It might have been Down with Love. If it was Down with Love, I did really love that routine. I really enjoyed it. I'm not trying to sound really like, but I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Mariah and Bailey's. Like, just because we're comparing here because it's a competition. I didn't enjoy Sophie and Gino's quite as much as Mariah's and Bailey's. However, Sophie and Gino, well, one thing about Gino is I feel like he is very good at Broadway and certain types of jazz and like old style things. Somehow Gino does really well with like dances that have to do with like the 50s or like the 40s or different things like that. Like he just really shines in things like that, and he shined there in his and Sophie's routine from last week. And then finally we had a group routine with the three girls, and then we had a group routine with the three guys. So we had Madison, Sophie, and Mariah, their group routine. They did I believe it was jazz to the song Stay in the Rain, but it was like a remix of the original song. I thought they did a great job there. And then the three guys last week had a group routine, and so that was Ezra, Bailey, and Gino. I can't remember too much about Ezra's performance specifically in that routine. In fact, I probably should go and rewatch it just to refresh my memory on all three guys. All I remember is that it was amazing. Like, that group routine was amazing, and I felt personally like that was the best I'd ever seen Gino dance. Like, he was amazing. That he was like, I feel like I keep saying amazing over and over, but he really was very, very good. He was like poetry in motion in that routine, and I loved it. I don't really remember what Bailey was doing, how Bailey was doing in that routine, but I do remember, I'm shrugging, I do remember loving that routine in general, and I'm pretty sure Bailey crushed it because Bailey crushes everything, but also I'm pretty sure Bailey crushed it. So Bailey is like a guy that I think nobody thought could do contemporary, but then like when he does it, he like knocks it out of the park, and it's like, wow, okay. So that routine was extremely impressive, and I think the way it was choreographed was so great because there's something to be said for a dance that makes good use of stillness, and I feel that that choreographer, I can't exactly remember who choreographed that, but that choreographer did a great job of making use of stillness because there were parts where all the dancers were just like this, like they weren't doing anything for a certain amount of beats, but it was like really beautiful, and I was like holding my breath, and then it was like, and it was just really great. Okay, so yes, I did agree with the choice of the top four. I didn't vote for the top six or the top four, or any. I haven't actually voted at all. I'm sorry, y'all. I was forgetting at first. The first week I think I forgot, and then the second week I like forgot, and then yesterday I didn't watch it on time because I was in the car coming home from visiting family. It was like a 9-hour ride, and then I got home and I was tired. And then I watched the episode and I didn't even think to vote. I was just like, I got halfway through the episode and I was just like, so, so I did not vote, and I'm sorry because I do have my opinions, and yeah, but I just didn't do it. So I'm sorry, but anyway, I agree with the top four, and so then we went into last night's episode. That brings us to last night's episode. Now I thought of in my mind a nickname for Mariah and Bailey. Their nickname is PB&J, or peanut butter and jelly. That is because peanut butter is really great by itself, jelly is really great by itself, but together they make magic. They are like even better. And that's how I feel about Mariah and Bailey. I feel like they're both amazing by themselves, and together they are even better. And I mean, like I said, Mariah is a legend. Like, she's incredible. So for her to be like even better when she and Bailey are on stage together is just like, what? And then Bailey also is super, 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 super awesome and talented, and he's a hard worker and he's determined, and I just love him so much. But okay, we're not gonna get emotional this early in the stream. Apparently we are. Okay, so let's talk about what happened in last night's episode. First, there was a group routine that had to do with cats. I barely paid attention to that. There were a bunch of other dancers. I didn't know who was whom. Who was whom? I was gonna say who was who, but I think it's who was whom. I didn't know. I barely saw the dancers and could keep track of everybody. And I was just like, okay, sure. I just wasn't really that invested in that. Also, I'm not going to talk very much about the solos. So each of the four dancers did a solo last night, but the solos were so short, like they always are, like 30 seconds, I think, that it's hard to really compare them for me. So, yeah, I mean, I can say a little bit about the solos, but they're just short, so I'm not going to say a lot about them. I think Mariah's solo was really good. I kind of forgot. I think Gino's solo was pretty good. Bailey, I can't even remember his solo. I bet it was great, but Bailey's solo, I think, felt really short because, of course, it's really short. So it was like, oh man, it's over now. I think that's kind of how I felt. And then Sophie's solo. I hate to get to the sort of downsides of things this early, but okay. Sophie's solo was okay to me. It wasn't great. So there we are. Okay. Now we also had couples. So each of the four danced with an all-star, and then each of the four danced a duet with every other one of the top four, if that makes sense. So one person would dance with person A, person B, and person C, or etc. Does that even, so basically the two girls dance together, the two guys dance together, the original pairs dance together, and then each person dance with the opposite person that they're not paired with. Anyway, so this will probably make more sense when I go through each routine. So I don't know if this is exactly in order. I just wrote them down. Okay, I don't think that's in order. So Sophie and Gino danced together. They're an original pair, and they did what I think was jazz. Mariah and Bailey did what I think was jazz, or it might have been Broadway. I think it was jazz. But they also are an original pair. By original, I mean they were paired before last night. Then Sophie and Bailey danced together, so that was like a switched up pair. They did a Bollywood dance. Mariah and Gino danced together. They did a Quickstep. Sophie and and then we have the all-star routines. So Sophie danced with Marco. They did contemporary. Bailey danced with Comfort, and they did hip hop. Gino danced with Melanie, and they did contemporary. Mariah danced with Robert, and they did contemporary. And so for the all-star routines, each dancer was put in their style that they mainly do, I guess, like when they auditioned. Even though, again, Mariah was put there for a contemporary dance, I do sort of consider her solo style to be more of lyrical, but the dance was similar to lyrical, and there's a lot of overlap there, so it's all good. And then Gino and Bailey danced together, so that was the two guys, and they did a Broadway dance. And Mariah and Sophie, the two girls, did a hip hop dance. So at first I was like, how am I going to talk about these? And I realized what I should probably do is talk about them from like my least to most favorite, so that there can be some anticipation. Okay, so those were 10 routines that I just went through. Okay, but actually it's hard to pick a favorite, so I'm just going to do the best I can. So my least favorite was the first routine of the night. Again, I might get some flack for this. I don't know. It was Sophie and Gino. And it was because there was a similar problem to Gino's all-star routine from last week, except last week the problem was he wasn't having fun. This week the problem was I didn't see enough emotion in the dancing. I commented this on YouTube that I felt like the technique of both Sophie and Gino, the technique was like 9.8 out of 10. The expressivity, the emotion was like 7.5 out of 10. It was just pretty good. And you shouldn't be doing a pretty good routine at this point in the competition. It shouldn't be pretty good. And these are not pretty good dancers. These are excellent dancers. I just felt disappointed by it. I couldn't really connect to the emotion in the routine. I felt like there wasn't enough emotion in it. But the technique was really good, and they are both really good technical dancers. So I was like, okay, well, I hope that their routines improve from here. So I would say all of the other routines I liked, but yeah, I will kind of move up to like least to most favorite. So my second least favorite was Sophie and Bailey. Sophie and Bailey, they're like a switched up couple, and they did Bollywood. But at the same time, I didn't really dislike it. Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but I am not an expert on Bollywood. I don't watch a lot of Bollywood at all. I don't know that much about the technique and what's correct versus what's not correct. So it was kind of hard for me to evaluate it on that level. I felt like they had a lot of energy, which was good. And that's about all I can say, I guess. The judges were saying that there was some attention to detail that wasn't there. So I was like, okay. Nigel Lithgow said, this isn't the best that I've seen you dance, Bailey. And I was like, that is probably true. I have enjoyed Bailey's other routines better than that one. But I mean, Bailey is like always a 12 out of 10 for me. So a disappointment from Bailey is like a 9.8 out of 10. Like, so, take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, the one thing that I really didn't like about the Bollywood routine, well, there were two things, but one of them was part of the choreography, and it didn't really, it's just personal preference. I didn't like the very end of the choreography with the hay. I do not like that type of joke that has to do with hay, and it was awkward, and I was like, ew, it's hay. I don't. But anyway, that was choreography, and they didn't control that. But the thing that really kind of bugged me about the Bollywood routine was Sophie's facial expression. Like if you watch, her facial expression was so over the top and it felt fake. It didn't feel genuine to me. It was kind of like it didn't feel genuine to me. So I wasn't a huge fan. I did feel like her expressivity was a little bit better here than in her first routine, but that face just no. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound harsh, but I didn't like it. It felt almost like a mockery, and I hate to say that because I don't think she was trying to mock the choreography or the style. But when your face is like, it feels like a mockery. Like it doesn't feel genuine. And I know that Bollywood is known for being over the top, but that was just over the top in a way that was didn't feel genuine, and I wasn't very comfortable with it. So there you go. But the great thing about that routine is that Bailey was in it. So y'all can probably tell I'm a huge fan of Bailey. So let's go to my third least favorite routine. All of these from here on out, I enjoyed somewhat. Yeah. So my third least favorite was the one that it was pretty good. I kind of forgot about it almost. In fact, because I was like looking, I was like, oh, I enjoyed it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that one. It was Mariah and Gino's Quickstep. So again, this was a switch. They were going with somebody other than their main partner. Yeah, I mean, it was good. So I mean, I did enjoy it. So yeah, all of these I have enjoyed. I enjoyed this one. I just enjoyed a bunch of other ones even better, but this was really good. They had the quick step technique that is a difficult technique to do. I've only seen it like on Dancing with the Stars and like maybe on So You Think You Can Dance. So again, I'm not super familiar with that technique, but I can kind of tell when it's really good, and it was really good, and it was really sharp, and it was Gino doing an old style, which again I think is really good for him. I think he does well in that type of dancing. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, so that would be, I guess, my third least favorite, or I think that was my third least favorite. Next, we are going to go. So these two that I'm going to talk about are pretty similar in my mind. Yeah, I would put one above the other. So I probably should be checking these off so I know how many I've done. I think I did 3 so far. So this would be my like fourth least favorite, also known as my like seventh favorite, basically, was Sophie and Marco. So that was an all-star routine. Sophie danced with this all-star Marco. They did a contemporary. I actually really enjoyed it. So I really liked it. I felt like Sophie really did kind of break down that wall of lack of emotion, and I felt like she did a great job of showing emotion in this dance, and I was applauding her for that. I thought that was great. Not literally applauding. I wasn't literally clapping, but figuratively applauding. And then similarly to that one, so that one was very close in my mind to Gino and Melanie's routine. And when I say that, I'm talking about how the competitors did. I'm not really talking about how the All-Stars did in that routine, even though the All-Stars can elevate it to a different level. But if it's like a tie as to who did better, like I'm thinking about how the competitors did, if that makes sense. So I do feel that Gino and Melanie's routine will be like my next one. That would be, I guess, my sixth favorite. That one I felt that Gino performed a little bit better in that routine than Sophie did in her routine with Marco. I really felt the emotion in Gino's dancing, and I was like, this is great. This is almost reminiscent of last week when he was in that group contemporary and he was doing really well. So Gino can emote very well sometimes in contemporary. And I mean, he's a great dancer. Like I'm not, like dogging on him just because of that first dance. Like he's a really, really great dancer. So is Sophie. They're really great dancers. But the reason why I said I'm not going off of how the All-Star did is because Gino did dance with Melanie more. and she is one of my favorite dancers from So You Think You Can Dance, like ever. I just think she's incredible. Like, so I don't know. I don't want to like be biased because of Melanie. So after that, we get into the routines that I really, really liked. I'm just trying to make sure I don't go over the same one twice. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I don't go over the same one twice, but these were the other 5 are all ones that I really, really liked, and it's hard to even choose, but I'm just gonna try and do what I can to choose favorites from this. So of my top 5 routines, number 5 would be Mariah and Bailey doing jazz. Again, I loved this routine. No, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. Oh, actually, is that one my 5th favorite or my 4th? Because that's a tough question. It might be tied for my 4th. So I'm going to talk about that one first, and then because I already mentioned it, and then I'll go to the other one and we'll see. Mariah and Bailey's jazz routine was just the cutest thing ever. It was so cute. It was so adorable. But it wasn't, well, I shouldn't say that because it was cute, but it was also like romantic. You know, it was like grown up. It wasn't like, oh, y'all are little kids kind of cute, but it was like, ah, kind of cute. But at the same time, I feel a little bit bad thinking of them that way because I'm like, they're so grown up too because they did that jazz last week that was so grown up. So anyway, it was very touching. I loved it. Yeah, I think I will put that one as my 5th. That one was so cute, and I loved it, and it was beautiful. And both of them just poured their hearts out there on the dance floor. They poured their hearts out. I love both of them so much. I think they're both incredible dancers. I think Bailey is just a symbol of like perseverance, basically, and hard work and fearlessness. And I think Mariah is like also hard worker, also amazing. And I just love both of them. And I love the two of them together. And like I said, I think of them as peanut butter and jelly. I think of them as PB and J. And it was so sad feeling like this is the last time that we're going to see like them together, like competing really. Because next week is going to be more stuff, but it's like not really competing exactly. I don't know. So I just really, really loved it. My one kind of qualm here. So Mariah was technically amazing and her expressivity was amazing as well. Bailey's expressivity was like through the roof, like it always is because he's Bailey. Okay. His technique there was one thing that I kind of noticed, and it was when you're doing any jazz style, you have to pay attention to your arms and when they're supposed to be straight and when they're not. And there were just a couple of times where Bailey's arms were like, they were like kind of supposed to be here, or like they're supposed to be straight, but they were like kind of like this, or they were doing certain things, certain shapes that weren't exactly, I didn't think they were 100% correct, but it was such a small note. And I don't know if this was jazz or Broadway, but kind of that same thing. You just want to like pay attention to the arms, but still, I mean, it was amazing. So that was my 5th favorite of the night. I feel like I'm skipping. Oh, I know what. I know. Okay, but I know what my 4th favorite of the night was. And again, these are just so amazing. They're all so great. My 4th favorite of the night was Mariah and Sophie. So the two girls, they did a hip hop routine. The theme of it was like they're two girls and they're like friends, but they're catty. They're like kind of frenemies. They're on a bench. And it was just so over the top and extra, and I loved it. It was choreographed by Luther Brown. I think he choreographs. I forgot what else he choreographed. He has choreographed a lot of stuff, and I have loved it. And I think I know what else he choreographed, but we're gonna get to that in a minute. So yeah, I just thought that was so much fun, and it was so funny. Now, this was actually the last routine of the night, and this was the one probably where Sophie impressed me the most. Or it was either that one or her contemporary with Marco. Well, since this one I like better than her contemporary with Marco. But both of these were really good, right? But Sophie, I was like, I didn't know she could do hip hop that well. I had never seen her do hip hop before. I've seen Mariah do hip hop before when she did tempo, and again, she crushed it. But Sophie, one of the judges, I think it was Lorianne, said that like Sophie served a little bit, and I was like, I gotta agree with that. I think both Sophie and Mariah did an amazing job there, but I think Sophie served Mariah a little bit. I think she just edged her out a little bit, but it was amazing and funny and cool and great. And I loved it. It was a great way to close out the night. So that would be my fourth favorite. And then we're going to get to my top three duets of the night. So, okay. This is really hard, y'all. This is really hard to pick because all of the top three are so incredible and amazing. Can I just make it a tie? Maybe I can just make it a tie. Maybe I can just make it a tie. So let's just, no, I think it's better if I rank them. I think it's better if I rank them. Okay, I'm going to rank them. So my top three of the night, I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to go into why. So my number three were Bailey and Comfort. They did hip hop to the song Tell Me When to Go. Number three. Number two was Gino and Bailey. They did a Broadway dance. I think the song was called I think it was the girl from Ipanema or Ipanema. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. And my favorite routine of the night, Mariah and Robert. It was a contemporary. So good. Forgot the name of the song. But, okay. So let's talk about my number three. Tell Me When to Go, the hip hop with Bailey and Comfort. This one could have been my favorite. It's just that there were two others that I like more. Obviously, I mean, this sounds like probably like duh. But this one was so good. It was so good. I was like, Bailey, how the heck do you keep getting better and better and better and better and better? I don't understand. And so I made up an adjective because I was like, you know what? If I were a judge on the show, I would just be like, you're amazing, you're incredible, you're amazing, you're incredible, you're amazing, you're incredible. Every time Bailey did anything, I would just keep saying that. And I was like, I'm going to run out of adjectives. So I decided to make up an adjective. The adjective is Bailified. It is based on Bailey. Bailified means something that is already very good, but just keeps getting better and better and better and better. Somehow, every time I think of it, I say better instead of better. So, Bailified. That's what that was. That routine was showing us that Bailey just keeps getting better. And he's amazing already. What? Every time a challenge is thrown at him, he demolishes it. He kills it. He knocks it out of the park. He killed that routine. Okay. That one might have been by Luther Brown as well. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember, but it was so good from the first beat to the last beat. Every single moment of that routine was amazing. I loved it. Comfort was great. Bailey was great. The song choice was funny because Tell Me When to Go, I think it was popular when I was like in middle school. So it was like nostalgia, you know? And it was just Bailey really adapted to the type of hip hop that was being done there. Somebody said it was like Bay Area hip hop. I think Dietrich said that, who's one of the judges. So I just loved it. I loved it. And I was like, Bailey, what the heck, man? Bailey. This is just great. My second favorite routine of the night was Gino and Bailey's routine. So this was the second to last routine that we saw before Mariah and Sophie's hip hop. So Gino and Bailey, they did a Broadway dance. Again, it was to the girl from Ipanema, I think that's what it's called. This was just so lovely and amazing and beautiful and great and funny and sad. And I just had all the emotions. It was like they were like supposed to be buddies that are in love with the same girl. And I felt it. It was just great. It was so, again, Bailey was bailified in this routine. He was bailified. He was outdoing himself. He was doing it better than he did before. Like I didn't even see really a problem with his arms much in this one. Not that I could tell. I didn't really see it any kind of like whatever that slight note that I said before. I didn't really notice any of that, but if it was there, then maybe it was there, and I just didn't care because the routine was that good. And Gino really shined in this routine. He really, really did. I love him in the old styles. I love that. I want him to be on Broadway. I thought about it. I was like, I want Gino to be on Broadway. I really do. So I don't know. I really feel like he probably, I mean, yeah, I feel like he has a bright future in front of him. I also feel like Bailey can do anything in this world. So Bailey also, I feel, has a bright future in front of him. And then we are going to talk about my favorite routine of the night. That was an all-star routine, and it was Mariah and Robert. And my voice is getting tired, so this is like right on time. I gotta get through this. This routine was so beautiful and amazing. Mariah, I already have been such a huge fan of Mariah. I mean, I already said she was a legend, but I just don't know like what else to say. Like she's incredible. Like she's just amazing, okay? And this routine was new. It was a new side of her talent. It was a contemporary, and she does usually do contemporary or lyrical. But they were talking about how like she was going to be vulnerable. The choreographer was talking about how like she needed to be vulnerable, and it was about life, and like she was like the person, and Robert was life, and he was like kind of carrying her. And I was like, that sounds really general. But when I saw the routine, like I got it, and I was like, this is a beautiful routine and amazing. But it's not only that, the way she danced it was just beyond. It's just beyond. It was just so good. And Mary Murphy, who's one of the judges, was crying. So, and like when she's excited, a lot of times she screams, but when she's like really emotional about the routine, she'll cry. And she cried, and I was like, yes, yeah, I know. It was so good. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it was just beautiful. It was just one of those things that just elevates like dance to like a new level, and you're like, wow, and elevates that dancer to a new level, and you're like, wow. Okay, so that was me ordering the routines from least to most favorite. I will order the dancers from least to most favorite. So when we were going into the top four, this was my thinking, right? When we first going into the top four, my thinking was number 4 for me would be Sophie. Number 3 would be Gino. Number 2 would be Bailey. Number 1 would be Mariah. Then leading up to this week's episode, I was debating my 2 and 3. Since my 2 was Bailey, my 3 was Gino. I was like debating, wait, should 2 be Gino and 3 be Bailey? And I was like rewatching their routines from before. And the thing is, Bailey is really, really fun to watch. His dancing is just like so enjoyable. And I might have said something like this earlier, but he really puts it all on the floor. He really pours his heart out every time he dances, and it's just amazing. And he's great. So, and also, basically starting off this episode when Gino and Sophie did that routine that I was kind of disappointed in, I was like kind of cemented in the idea that, okay, Bailey is number 2, Gino is number 3 for me, and Sophie is number 4. Sophie, I do feel like Sophie is a great dancer. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't always getting that expressivity from her. Sometimes, not always, I guess. But then I didn't really remember much about the episode before last. So I did see one contemporary she did with Eddie. I forgot Eddie's last name. And that was really good. And it was Travis Wall choreographed it. It was something with a mattress. There was a mattress, and the song was called "When the Party's Over." That was actually really beautiful. So Sophie is a great dancer. She's very talented. She's just my fourth favorite of these four because I love these four, but I love all four of them. And then my third favorite is Gino. Like I said, I think Gino really shines in those old styles. Gino has had his moments in contemporary where he also did very, very well. He needs to, the judges have said this too, I think he needs to get out of his own head. Sometimes he needs to stop being so get it right, get it right, get it right, get it right. And he needs to loosen up a little bit, I feel. I mean, I don't want to just be like sounding like I'm being hard on the guy, but sometimes he does get a little bit in his own head. And again, he is a great dancer. So it's not even like a matter of me not liking him or not liking Sophie. It's a matter of me loving the other two dancers even more. So it's just that those two are both really great. Now, going into the next part of that next episode, right? So when Bailey and Mariah danced together, I believe that was the first time we saw both of them dance. I was like, wow, I was kind of wavering on my opinion of Mariah being first and Bailey being second because I started to feel like maybe Bailey is my number one. Like, but they're both so amazing. They're both so good. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. Someone joked on YouTube and they were serious. And they said that somebody else said this on Twitter that it should be like the Hunger Games where like they both win, right? Like Bailey and Mariah. I don't know, but I do love them so much as a pair. Bailey said they're like dance soulmates. Like, it's so cute. And he like gives her flowers and it's so cute and they're so cute. But anyway, the point is that when they did that first dance together, I think I started to waver. And as the night went on and I saw Bailey dance more and I saw Mariah dance a little bit more, I started to feel like Bailey was pulling away and maybe he was my favorite. And I was like, whoa. But then Mariah did that routine that she did with Robert. And that was one of the most beautiful dance routines I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, this is why Mariah needs to win. Like, I think she needs to win. But if Bailey wins, I'm not going to be upset because I also really, 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 really love Bailey. I really, really, really love both of them. I'm a huge fan of both of them. And I just love them. And I'm like everybody else. I'm like, can they just both win? But maybe not. Like I said, I was so tired and I didn't vote. And it was just, but they're just both so amazing. And I think that Mary said something to Mariah along the lines of like, I'm very blessed to get to watch you and like be inspired. And that was exactly it. Like for me, like I feel blessed to get to watch both of them. They're just so inspiring and they're so great. And then Bailey is just so Bailified. He's so Bailified. Every time he hits the stage, I'm just like, wow, Bailey. Almost every time. But yeah, because the Bollywood was like, all right. But anyway, I'm just like, wow, Bailey. I was very, very impressed. But yeah, because of that routine that Mariah and Robert did, I do feel like she's my favorite, but it's so close between her and Bailey. It's so close. It's so close. And especially, like I said, I loved him in Tell Me When to Go. And I loved him in the Girl from Ipanema. And now I'm thinking about it again, and I'm like not sure because I love both of them. Oh, y'all. The angst. So I'm not sure because I love both of them, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know. But I keep thinking Mariah. But then I'm like, maybe Bailey. I don't know. But they're both really, really great and really, really talented and awesome. So yeah. Yeah, that's basically the main stuff I think I needed to talk about. I do think that all four of the top four have the potential to have really great careers after this. I don't know where Sophie's going to go. I was surprised by how great she did with hip hop. Oh yeah, and I did feel like she improved in her expressivity. I felt like her expressivity was like pretty great with the hip hop. And so I'm not hating on her. Like she's really great. So I don't know where she's going to go next. Gino hopefully will be on Broadway. Somehow the first show that comes to mind is Little Shop of Horrors. Like, I don't know why. I wonder, like, is that on Broadway now, or can it have a revival? I don't know. But no, like he could be in something else. I don't know what he could be in. I feel like if I thought some more, I would think of a show that would be great for Gino, or I would think of something that can be adapted into a show that would be great for Gino. But I have to think about it. But I do think that he's very, very talented, and I have a lot of respect for him as a dancer. I have a lot of respect for Sophie also. But Bailey and Mariah are just two really, really special and amazing young dancers, and I'm so happy to get to watch them. I just feel so blessed to get to watch them. And if by any chance they're watching this, thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Mariah, for sharing your talent in this way, because I think that you do and will inspire a lot of people, and that you will for a long, long time. I think that you both will have an incredible legacy. Why do I feel like crying? I think that you're both going to have an incredible legacy that's going to last for a long time. And you should be so proud. I don't know who's going to win, but y'all should be so proud because y'all did the dang thing. Okay? Also true of all of the top four, actually. Like, all of y'all did the dang thing. Okay? So, yeah, that is pretty much the conclusion of my thoughts on the top four. It's going to be hard to wait another 6 days to find out what's going to happen. Like, 6 days. Why? Almost 6 days. But there we go. Yeah, I mean, there we go. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I'll see y'all soon because I need to upload some videos that I filmed some stuff and I haven't uploaded it yet. And it's just but anyway, I'll see y'all soon. And thank you if you have watched all of this. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. I'll see you soon.